Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and Patreon, and contact Dayspring Discussions on the Facebook group, Twitter account, and dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. Last night was the premiere of Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Guys, it is the week. We finally got here. Myself and Lisa, we are going to go see it Thursday, just 2 days from now. 48 hours from right now, we'll be sitting in the theater. Super excited, of course, to sit down and watch this film. But first, we got to finish some business. Of course, as we've been going on these last few weeks, we have been watching the Star Wars films, all the live-action ones, and reviewing them, watching them in chronological order. So, of course, the very last one we had to watch was The Last Jedi. But I cannot talk about it without talking about the porg-loving lady herself, Miss Lisa Locke McGahee.
The porg-loving lady?
You love the porgs, don't you?
I mean, they're cute.
Well, they've been replaced by Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda's way cuter.
Yeah, so there's that. So sorry, porgs, your time was up. It was short-lived, but say adieu, because Baby Yoda is here. But anyway, all right, guys, so if you have not listened to one of these before, Lisa and I are going to sit down here and talk The Last Jedi. As Lisa just said before we started recording, it hasn't been that long since we did an official Last Jedi review because the film is only 2 years old. So, we'll see where this one goes. But we are going to talk about some comics and some books related to this. And finally, we're going to top it off with doing our Star Wars order, ranking Star Wars films. I have a feeling we're going to have some different opinions on that, definitely, as far as our list goes.
We don't ever agree on that.
Of course. So first, before we start talking about the movie, guys, let's knock out kind of the easier stuff first, in my opinion, which, of course, like I said, is going to be the comics and the books that are related to The Last Jedi. Now, because The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi take place so close together, there's nothing story-wise in between them.
No.
Nothing. So, if we're going to talk about anything related to it, we can talk about what's in between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, which is kind of their campaign journey to, they did the journey to Force Awakens, they did the journey to The Last Jedi, now they did journey to The Rise of Skywalker. And they didn't
have very many this time, though. I felt like in previous journeys, too, there was more. Well, this time they didn't really give us all that much.
We got a couple of books and basically a comic series is what we got. So starting off in chronological order was the book Resistance Reborn. That's the one that you and I both read. Takes place closest to The Last Jedi, and it's about them surviving the Battle of Crate and going out and trying to restart the Resistance and gather allies along with them. We just talked about this several weeks ago, of course, too.
Yeah, it was okay.
It was okay. I thought it was okay, mainly focusing on Poe and Leia. You had to have a couple other nuggets in there, which was fine. But it's definitely something I think, if you're a Star Wars fan, it's something nice to check out.
I think if you're a Star Wars fan, like a real Star Wars fan, I know we haven't really gotten to our, ratings of the movies and stuff yet, but over the past, 6 years, I have enjoyed the books far more than I have enjoyed the films.
I agree. I've enjoyed some. There's some comics I've enjoyed a lot more too, as well, or TV shows even.
Yeah, honestly, the live action theatrical films, episode 7, 8, and I haven't seen episode 9 yet, but we'll see. Honestly, they're my least favorite thing in the Star Wars universe at present. I would much rather watch Rebels, or the new Clone Wars, or Mandalorian, or read almost any of the books.
You haven't seen the new Clone Wars yet, though.
Well, I'm sure it'll be better.
Fair enough. All right, okay. All right, so continuing on, another book that came out was Spark of Resistance. Now, I thought about reading this one. It's one of those junior novels.
Yeah, I thought about it, too. I just hadn't grabbed it yet.
Yeah, I feel like I hadn't heard anything about, being some nice, juicy plot details or anything in there. So, I don't know. Maybe I might go back to it. Because, again, it is kind of the stigma of being a junior novel. But there was that one in the Journey to the Force Awakens where it was like the short stories about Rey, Finn, and Poe. And I enjoyed that one because you got backstory in all three of them before you even like met them in The Force Awakens, especially Finn's, where you learned about, what was like him growing up as a stormtrooper and his relationship with Phasma and all that stuff. So that was probably interesting. So because of that being a junior novel, I feel like I should at least give this a chance. I haven't yet, so maybe we'll see about that one. The other one was The Force Collector, which really I don't think, from my knowledge, is, it doesn't have Finn, it doesn't have Poe, it doesn't have Rey or whatever. It's about this guy going on collecting Force stuff and what he finds. I'm not exactly sure what it's about.
Yeah, I don't think it's all that related.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. I don't know the author either. He's not like a known Star Wars author. So,
I mean, it says Journey to the Rise of Skywalker. It must be relatively connected, but...
you sure about that?
Yeah, I know,
Some of the stuff they try to pass off, I wouldn't say it's directly connected. But the last thing, of course, is going to be the comic series Star Wars Allegiance that I read. It's the thing that takes place most late in the timeline.
So closest to the news.
Yeah, closest to the Rise of Skywalker. It was funny, too, because this was actually the first thing that was published as far as Journey to the Rise of Skywalker. But out of, like, the three things, it takes place latest in the timeline. So, what was it? I know in Spark of Resistance, they said they mentioned stuff that happens in Resistance Reborn. And in this one, they mentioned stuff that also happens in Spark of Resistance as well. So, it basically... I read the end of it before I got to the beginning,
yeah,
so
that's weird.
There you go. But anyway, guys, so there's a few things to check out if you want to get a little prepped for the Rise of Skywalker. Probably Star Wars.
Kind of too late, though.
Yeah, well, Star Wars Allegiance is only a 4-issue comic book miniseries, so sit down for about an hour and you're good. And then again, the fact that it's the thing latest in the timeline, I think it's something manageable before you go see the Rise of Skywalker this weekend. So there you go. All right, so before I want to do a book list beforehand because we sat down and talked about our top 5 books. You got that right? Kind of. Okay. Well, yeah, I figured you would, I'm going to refer to that. But quickly, I want to go through, like I said, you read most of the books, but I check out some of the comics. So I just wanted to recommend some comics as well. Kind of my top 5 in this new canon era. Number 5, the Age of Resistance villains storylines. Those are interesting because, there are a bunch of one-shots they did. Age of Republic, Age of Rebels, Age of Resistance. And with it, you had these little short stories about each character. Some were interesting, some were not. I found the villains one in Resistance probably to be the better collection out of all of them. Like I said to you last week, the Hux one I found interesting from a character I really didn't find interesting. The Snoke one was about him training Kylo Ren early on. There's a Phasma one in there that's pretty decent. The Heroes one, though, there's one about Rose, which is nice. It actually goes into the backstory about her and her daughter, her sister growing up. And, when they're on Canto Bight and talking about how the First Order came to their planet and destroyed it, it's that storyline. You read all about that as well, too. So that's an interesting one as well. But the villains one was good, too. Number 4, the Poe Dameron series. This kind of jumps around in the sequel trilogy era. You start off with Finn as a Republic fighter and how he gets recruited from Leia, and then from...
You mean Poe? You said Finn. You
I'm getting my names all mixed up today.
Yeah, you meant
Hopefully
Poe.
This doesn't continue. Yes, it's Poe, because it's a Poe Dameron comic. Yes.
Right.
It's about he gets recruited by Leia for the Resistance, and then, he forms up with Black Squadron. From there, he seeks out Lord Senteca. Leia gives him the mission there. Then you learn about where Black Squadron was because, they're the ones that went after Starkiller Base with Poe. They're gone from The Last Jedi. You find out where they're at. And then after the events of The Last Jedi, you see Poe seek them out again.
That happens in Resistance Reborn.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I read that part of it, so I'm not sure where it falls in the timeline as far as that goes. But there is one part of it too. There, it's just past The Last Jedi, and it's all the Resistance fighters that are left are on the Millennium Falcon, and there's a conversation going on between what it seems like an old war veteran and kind of like a newbie to it all, and they're talking about previous battles and stuff like that. And you come to find out they pan it back a little bit. It's R2 and BB-8 talking, And like they're talking, the words are in English. It's not droid. They're speaking to each other in droid, but we understand them.
Right.
So it was a very cool way to do that as well. So that's not too bad. Number 3, the ongoing Star Wars series. Now I'm going to recommend the one by Jason Aaron. After I think it's volume 6 or 7. Karen Gillan takes over, and honestly, it was never the same again. But the first couple of storylines by Jason Aaron were really good, mainly because I find that with this, it's Luke right after A New Hope. Vader's kind of starting to hunt him down a little bit, and also Luke is kind of lost where he's trying to figure out what to do next. Ben is gone. He hasn't gone to Yoda yet, so he's trying to figure out what to do next in his Jedi training, seeking out, maybe a couple of Jedi relics, maybe trying to find someone who can teach him something about the Force, as well as other things. Of course, the most famous would be the Han Solo wife, Santa Solo, popping up, which everyone freaked out about, and it turned out, of course, to be nothing, as we knew it would be. So, anyway, the Jason Aaron run in Star Wars, I would recommend picking up that. Number 2, Kanan the Last Padawan. Very awesome, of course, as a fan of Rebels.
Love Kanan.
I really enjoyed it. I always say New Dawn, Last Padawan, and Rebels is kind of the Kanan Jarrus trilogy, the Kanan Jarrus storyline. This is about where he was during Order 66, how his master saved him, how his 2 closest friends, clone troopers, hunted him down, and there was a moment in there where actually they kind of felt remorse, or one of them did at least, because he realized what they did to the Jedi was wrong. It's a real nice moment there as well too, so check that out. And then number 1 comic that I recommend is the Darth Vader series, not the original one. The second one by Charles Soule takes place immediately after Revenge of the Sith. Just great storytelling as far as young Vader starts off right when he gets put in the robotic suit. The first one is about how he gets his red lightsaber. The second story is about him training the Inquisitors and starting them to hunt down the Jedi. The third one, he goes to Mon Calamari and meets up with Admiral Akbar, who's not really an admiral at this point, but also Raddus as well. We meet those characters and basically how the Empire takes over Mon Calamari. And then the fourth one is how he gets his castle on Mustafar. Just some very interesting, great storytelling. So there's just some comics that I would recommend checking out. So, as briefly as we can, let's get to some books. So, Lisa, I'm going to let you go first. Give me your 5 Star Wars canon books.
Okay.
Roughly.
So this is the thing. So that's why I said I couldn't. Okay, I didn't list just 5 because I was going through the list of all of the canon books and I was trying to figure out. So basically, I just went through first and wrote down like all my favorite
ones you liked. Yes.
Like all the ones that I like that are my favorites. So I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Technically, I have 10 because I included the Thrawn trilogy, which is 3 books.
That's 1 though, right? You put
but
it all in 1.
I count that as 1.
Of course.
So I think if I had to pick 5 only, I'm not gonna. I can't do like 1 through 5 as in.
Okay.
These are just my favorite
Just
5.
Give me 5.
My favorite 5 in no particular order. So I'm definitely going to include the Thrawn trilogy, the new one by Timothy Zahn.
Okay.
Now, I know a lot of people that are like all about the books, just, love the original Thrawn trilogy, the one that's not canon anymore. And I have read that, and I haven't actually didn't even finish it because I didn't love it. I mean, I liked it all right, but I didn't love it. I didn't feel like it had enough Thrawn in it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because the focus is still Luke, Han, and Leia.
Right.
In that one.
So, like, I get why some people feel like, why is there a new Thrawn trilogy? We had a Thrawn trilogy. Don't crap on my Thrawn trilogy. And I literally heard people say this, like, in line waiting to meet Timothy Zahn at the celebration. But, anyway, I personally prefer the new Thrawn trilogy. Because I feel like, especially after watching Rebels and really getting a taste of Thrawn, I think Thrawn is such an interesting character. Mm-hmm. And these new novels, it's not just him in it and how he interacts with the people around him. You get so much of his backstory about his people, about the Chiss, and this new trilogy coming out is all about the Chiss ascendancy. Like, it's so interesting, Thrawn's backstory. And just seeing him as the focus. But with each of these 3 books, it's him as the focus in how he interacts with other people. Like, you get to see him interacting with Anakin and him interacting with Vader. You get to see him interacting with, in the most recent one, and the whole thing about when them trying to make the him trying to get his TIE Defender program going while fighting with Krennic about the Death Star. I think Thrawn's awesome. So, I really think, I know it's 3 books, I'm not narrowing it to one,
right.
but I just think if you've seen Rebels and you've watched Thrawn at all, and you think he's a cool character, the Thrawn trilogy is, it's a slow burn. Like, they're not books where it's like action, 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 action. There are some parts where it's a lot of slow kind of backstory, but it's so interesting. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to include that one. So I think the other one that I'm going to say for sure is Lost Stars.
Okay, I figured you'd have that.
Which I know we've mentioned a couple times since we've been doing this, but if you didn't already hear us talking about it and you're not sure what you might want to read, Claudia Gray, it's a young adult novel. It's a love story that just happens to take place during the it basically
trilogy
takes place,
and beyond.
Yeah, it starts like, in basically not long after the Empire is formed. And then it progresses all the way through to the Battle of Jakku. Basically, that's kind of where it ends, is right after, when the Empire falls. Like, really falls. So it's kind of, but it's a love story. Super good, quick read, very interesting. It's really neat to see these 2 new characters who you don't know anything, because there's not characters in it that you know. It's all new characters, really. But it's just kind of seeing how they interact with occasionally some characters and then also with the storylines and the things that you recognize, So I think that's been really good. I know you just mentioned that Kanan comic, but I definitely would include New Dawn.
New Dawn? Okay.
I love New Dawn. That's basically the introduction of Kanan and Hera. It's how they met. So you get a lot of Hera's you don't get a lot of Hera's backstory. You get a smidgen of Hera's backstory. But you get a lot of Kanan.
Can I pause for a sec? Okay. Now, I was thinking about this too, because I just finished, playing Jedi Fallen Order. In that story, you have Kanan, who, a Padawan who survived Order 66, he hides his, Jedi heritage.
Talking about the game?
No, I'm talking about New Dawn.
Oh, a New Dawn.
So he goes, that's the thing, I'm trying to see the parallels here.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely some parallels.
Because when Jedi Fallen Order, they both showed it, at Celebration, we're like, this seems kind of similar to Kanan. Isn't there like an accident where he
has to use his powers? Yeah, it's almost exactly the same.
Exactly what, Cal Kestis does in Jedi Fallen Order.
Except in New Dawn, when it happens, he's able to kind of brush it under the rug. He doesn't, no one really notices what he does.
Yeah,
he has spent years hiding his Force powers, but then he uses them in kind of a reflex way to save somebody. But then it's just about him meeting Hera, finding out about the rebellion, her kind of coaxing him into doing, being a better man, not just sitting around hiding anymore, even though she doesn't know who he is. And then it's about how they become a team. But there's a lot of other interesting parts going on in the background just about the Empire, making you really understand why the rebellion is needed,
and
why
you see, what's that character, Sloane, in this one?
Yeah, it's one of the many where Sloane pops up. I love Sloane. Anyway, so that's 3. So I'm also gonna include Tarkin.
Okay.
So Tarkin by James Luceno. I think that is a really, really interesting. It's because it's all from the Empire's point of view. It's a story about Tarkin. So it's like, so many of these books give you the good guy's side.
Yeah.
Tarkin is all about Tarkin. It's where he came from. It's about him as a kid on his home planet, his family, how he rose to where he is. It really, because you see him in the movies, and like even from, right off the bat, you see that he has some level of control over Vader, which, is interesting because, everyone kind of assumes Emperor and Vader are like head honchos.
Number 1, number 2.
Right, but you see, in even just A New Hope, you see that Tarkin has some level of authority over Vader, and I always thought that was interesting. And then in this one, you really kind of find out how that came to be, who Tarkin is, how he got his place in the Empire, and the kind of man that he is, which is not a good one. So, I think it's a really good, interesting story. Okay, so one more. So it's so hard. So I have like 4 left here that I really love.
Pick one and just say your honorable mention.
Okay, so I'm going to go with, it's so hard. Okay, I'm going to go with Catalyst, I think.
Okay, as number 1?
No, I'm not numbering them. I told you, they're not.
Okay,
this is just fills my 5th. I can't decide. Like, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna go with Catalyst. That was my last one in my top
that was
5.
in my list. Okay, yes.
I think not necessarily it as a freestanding. I mean, I like it a lot as a novel, but I think I like it even more because of how it ties into Rogue One.
Yeah, it so sets up Rogue One.
Yeah, I mean, it totally does. But it's so interesting just seeing, because it's a different perspective of the Empire. You know, you see how scientists and, you know, it's a cool, and I love how you get to meet Jyn as a little girl. You get to really know her parents, because, you know, in Rogue One, you get to know Jyn, but you don't know her family.
Exactly.
You know, this is all about her parents. You know, she's the side character in it.
Yeah.
They're the main characters. And also Krennic. So I think it's a really awesome supplement to that film, which I love that film. So I think because I like those both, and then also Rebel Rising goes right along with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's after that.
Again, I think of that as, you know, the Jyn Erso story. You know,
Right.
Catalyst, Rebel Rising, Rogue One. That's the Jyn Erso story.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't include Rebel Rising in my list, but I think it kind of goes right along with that.
Yeah, it adds to it.
Yeah,
definitely.
So my honorable mentions, I'm not going to discuss in detail. I'm just going to say my honorable mentions are Dark Disciple by Christy Golden.
That was one of my runners-up. That was like my 6th pick.
It's such a good book.
If you're a Clone Wars fan, check it out.
Yeah, that's.
You know, I was thinking too. Granted, of course, you know, Clone Wars is going to be wrapped up, right? But we have several comics and a book and several other things that were unused Clone Wars scripts. So I'm like, is he going to go back and actually do those episodes?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, just because, like, I feel like Clone Wars fans who did not read Dark Disciple are going to be like, what happened to Ventress?
Then they can go read Dark Disciple.
I'm just
Because
saying.
Dark Disciple's amazing. They're not going to make it into a show.
I know
now
they're
that
not.
they have it in a book.
I know that they're going to, but I think it would have been amazing to see it, you know, on TV.
Agree, but since they have it in a book now, they're not going to do it. Star Wars doesn't do that. If they put it in one form, they don't put it in another.
Well, yeah, that's true. But again, they didn't know they were going to continue Clone Wars too. But
does it matter? Though?
I don't think they should.
No,
I'm just saying
they won't. I don't think that they will. That's what I'm saying. Star Wars doesn't do that.
Yeah, just like the
if they put it in a book, they don't put it in a movie.
Yeah, but like
versa.
the comic Star Wars Son of Dathomir takes place right after that season 5 where the Emperor, you know, goes to Mandalore, kills Savage, and says, you know, I have plans for you for Darth Maul, and then that takes place when Darth Maul escapes and goes back to Mandalore, which is where, you know, we're gonna get the Battle of Mandalore with, I'm assuming, Ahsoka and Obi-Wan and Anakin. So again, if you haven't read that, you know, you're going to be lost as far as, wait a minute, I thought the Emperor had Maul. What's he doing back on Mandalore?
No one's going to be lost. No one's going to be lost.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyway.
Dark Disciple, yes. Honorable mention. My other honorable mentions, another one about Ventress is the Dooku Jedi Lost that just came out recently by Kevin Scott. Originally, it was only an Audible, but now there is actually a written version of it. You can buy an actual book. But that one's really interesting because it's about, you know, Ventress as well as about Dooku. Really interesting. And then my last honorable mention is Queen's Shadow by E.K. Johnson.
Which they're getting a sequel of, too.
Yes.
It's a prequel, though, right?
What?
It's a prequel book they're doing. It's not a sequel book.
I'm not sure.
I think it was a prequel, because I think it takes place before Phantom Menace.
Oh, yeah, but it's if you like Padme's character at all, and which if you only see the movies, I can't imagine why you do, because the movies do not do her character justice.
The last one.
But it does not do her none of the films really do her character justice. But if you liked Padme in the show, The Clone Wars, and wanted to know more about her and her handmaidens, Queen Shadow is an awesome, awesome story that kind of gives you a better look at really who Padme was and what those girls that were always around her, what they were really capable of. And it's pretty awesome.
Cool. All right. So, yeah, I mean, I wanted you to talk about the books because you've actually read more of the books than I have. I mean, there are several that I have started and stopped because I just can't get into. So, you know, you have a few little more information about the books than I do. That's why I threw in the comics, so that way you wouldn't one-up me at least a little bit as far as knowledge.
Not today.
No, okay. All right, so my top 5, trying to go over briefly. Number 5, Master and Apprentice. It's Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, which is something I always wanted to see, what their relationship was like, you know, how they work together on a regular mission. But it goes hand in hand, I think, with, you know, the Dooku Jedi Lost. Is that
I really liked, I really liked Master and Apprentice.
Yeah, because they had that one character, it was Dooku's old apprentice, right?
Yeah, he was his apprentice before Qui-Gon was.
Yeah, and what happened to him, and, you know, again, it gives you that different perspective on the Jedi.
Shows you the perspective, too, because he became a Padawan when he was a small child, like not a baby. So it kind of shows you why Qui-Gon was willing to take on Anakin as a child, whereas some of the others were more
hesitant.
Hesitant because they saw already what had happened with the last one that they brought in that wasn't an infant. So anyway.
And this note too, okay, you get a lot about the prophecies, as far as Dooku and Qui-Gon both, studying the prophecies. Okay. Number 4, Leia, Princess of Alderaan, Claudia Gray. These last two are, three of my 5 are Claudia Gray, aren't they? So
that's true.
They are.
And I have the other one in mind.
Leia,
so we pretty much like Claudia Gray.
Yes. I like this, again, you get to see Leia before A New Hope, see her, how she gets...
Her as a kid.
How she gets involved in the rebellion, just kind of what her upbringing was like, her relationship with her parents, all that stuff.
Well, you get to meet her mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Which you don't really know much about her.
Exactly, too. And it's one of those things, too, is, I'll talk about my third one here in a sec. But, yes, just seeing her grow up, I feel it's much more interesting of an upbringing than what Luke had, to be honest.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Because, I feel like she had a much more adventurous childhood than what Luke did, living on a moisture farm.
Oh, yeah. Well, and another thing about Leia, Princess of Alderaan, is that's where you meet what's-her-face from Last Jedi. I'm drawing a blank on her name.
What's her name? Laura Dern.
Yeah,
Holdo.
Admiral Holdo.
Holdo, yeah.
Yeah, Emmeline Holdo. Yeah, you meet her in Princess of Alderaan, because that's where Leia meets her.
Yeah, exactly.
When they go to, the young Senate or whatever as teenagers, basically.
Exactly.
Or, maybe, they weren't quite teenagers. Maybe, 10, 12, whatever.
Number 3, from a certain point of view, this is a collection of stories from many authors, all told from different perspective of minor characters and cameos in the first Star Wars film, A New Hope.
Is it all from A New Hope?
Yeah, it's all from A New Hope. It's from the very beginning, and it goes in chronological order, too.
Oh, I guess I
never
realized
realized
that.
But, of course, you get different perspectives as well. Some being my favorite, of course, are the Obi-Wan ones, where when Luke goes off to see what happened to his aunt and uncle, Obi-Wan has a conversation with Ghost Qui-Gon, and again with Obi-Wan, you see him right after his death, where he tries, to become one with the Force, and the struggle and pain he goes through with that, and then of course at the end with Obi-Wan telling Yoda, "Hey, I'm sending you the Skywalker kid so you can train them," and he's like, "Great, I'll wait for Leia." He's like, "No, I'm sending you Luke," and Yoda's like, "No, I don't want him. I want Leia. I want the strong one," And then, of course...
There's a lot of really good stories.
There's a lot of really... and like I said, I mentioned before when we talked about this book a couple weeks ago, the Boba Fett one.
There's just a lot of really interesting
It was just hilarious between the Jabba scene as well. But a lot of good, interesting stories.
There's a bunch, too, that are from the Empire, different characters in the Empire.
Yes, exactly. From the Imperials as well. The guy who Vader choked in the boardroom, you see him write a letter, I guess, to the higher-ups complaining about Vader.
Kind of like he's writing to HR.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then the guy who didn't shoot down the pod with droids. There's a lot of really, really cute, interesting...
The rebel guy at the beginning who actually, escaped Vader in Rogue One and, handed out the plans, and he was like, what was that? Splinter trying to explain
it's really
Vader. But real good. Number 2, Catalyst, which, you had on your list, so we talked about that. And number 1 is it's Bloodlines, mainly because I think I like it because you get that perspective on, the gaps between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. And, it's our first time that you actually see what, the main 3 have been up to, what the status of the galaxy is, and, of course, the drama of, Leia being outed as Vader's daughter, what happens there, and her starting the Resistance. Just all a very interesting story from a character. Leia is a very interesting character, and the life she's lived, and how really she's been fighting the war her whole life, in that sense. So it's any story with her is just very interesting. So, all right, guys. So those, of course, are our books, not necessarily ranked in order, but just the books we've been talking about these last couple weeks, and some of our favorites that we would recommend checking out, and hopefully you might like. So, we're going to hold off on the movie list until the very end, and we're going to jump into The Last Jedi. So, Episode 8, The Last Jedi, came out December 15th, 2017. Lisa, any fond memories leading up to it?
I mean, we were super excited leading up to it. I really liked The Force Awakens, so I was really interested to see what was going to happen with Rey and, Kylo Ren, and see what happened. I was curious, and plus, right at the very end, she finds Luke, so obviously we were all like, pretty anxious, waiting to see what was going to happen. How is Luke going to play into all this now? So I was really looking forward to it.
Yeah, seeing how it's all going to... I know there's a big controversy how this film split the fan base in half with people who liked it and people didn't. I mean, the prequels, for the most part, were mutually hated. So it's not like those split the fan base. For the most part, those films were hated. With this one, I think it's half and half on this. Mm-hmm. So, it definitely divided the fan base. Which bled into Solo and caused all that, which I think we'll still see some of those repercussions in the Rise of Skywalker. But with it, I remember when the first trailer came out, people were immediately like, "Oh, Rian Johnson should do Episode 9 too. Oh yeah, he should definitely do Episode 9." With just seeing the trailer,
yeah, people always do that.
We're always like and then as soon as Episode 8 came out, people were like, "Don't ever let him touch Star Wars again. He's a horrible director." Guys, he's actually a pretty good director. If anything, go see Knives Out, which is his newest film, and I think you'll agree to that. So anyway, it's just the fickle fan base. This is where the toxic fandom, I think, not really begun, but really where it boiled over.
Yeah, it certainly didn't begin here.
It did never. I mean, if it's been going on for as long as Star Wars.
However, I would like to say, just because people don't like this movie doesn't mean there's toxic fandom.
And I totally agree with that. But there are so many.
As someone who does not like this movie, I would like to maintain
hold
that.
on, I'm getting there. Okay, you can like the film because when people say they don't like this film, and I ask them, okay, what did you not like about it? And most of the time, these are the reasonable people that. Okay, great. I understand you didn't like this story point. You didn't like what they did with Luke. I get it. Totally understandable. I know where you're coming from. I wasn't crazy about some things as well, so I totally understand why you did not like this movie. But of course, you see the harshest, worst thing come out with people attacking Kelly Marie Tran.
Well, yeah,
and
I
stuff
think
like
that was crazy.
It's just those are the harsh things that come out. I mean, Daisy Ridley herself has been attacked on social media.
No, I'm not saying that there's not a toxic fan base. I'm just saying just because people don't like this film doesn't mean everyone who doesn't like it is
and that's exactly what I'm saying.
fan.
I'm saying the majority of people who don't like this film are the reasonable people who, just don't like some of the plot points. But you have that little small group that is, because they're so harsh.
The problem is they're just extra nasty.
Yeah, they're extra nasty and extra loud. It just, it boiled over in this one is what it was. So everyone has an opinion about it. So Lisa, let's get yours. Last Jedi, go for it.
Well, I mean, I think, like I said, we've talked about this quite a bit in the last couple of years since it's fairly new still. I, overall, am not a huge fan of this film. There are definitely things I like about it, but there are more things that I dislike about it. And I think my takeaway from watching it again last night was it really isn't a film I like to watch.
Okay.
I mean, it's not definitely, if I was going to pick a Star Wars movie to watch, this would definitely not be one that I would just pop in and want to watch. I just don't like it. And the more I watch it, the more I just don't like it. So, I mean, I don't think that there's much of anything I like about the Resistance portions of it.
Okay. The whole thing with Poe, I know you were really...
it's not that I don't like Poe, and I do maintain, I don't think that Rian Johnson being a bad director was necessarily the problem. I think that Rian Johnson doesn't know fucking shit about Star Wars, and he didn't have the story group in there helping him enough.
Okay.
Because the things that he did were just weird. And I know he wasn't necessarily the sole writer of the script, but he pretty much was.
Yeah.
And he obviously, from my view looking at it, is the problem I have with this is the story, not the directing. I mean, I think that the acting was great. I think that overall it was beautiful. It was cinematic. It was well done. I just don't like the story. I don't feel like the person who wrote this really knew Star Wars. They didn't seem to have a plan. Even with just looking at what the story group put out with the books leading up to it, this movie was what? There were books? What? Use the story group, dude. That's what they're there for.
You want to talk to J.J. Abrams about that, too.
Right. I mean, I think that's one of the main reasons that this new trilogy is not...
It pisses you off.
It makes me mad in a lot of ways because it's they have all these books that the story group is putting out, They have these amazing shows the story group is doing, and the people writing the movies are just like, man, what is that shit? We don't need to know anything about that.
We're the top dogs. We're the main guys. You feed, we feed you. You don't feed us.
Right, which is ridiculous, and especially when you have these amazing people in the story group that know everything about Star Wars. Just ask them. They will happily help you write a good story.
It's their job to help you.
It's their job, exactly.
It was funny. I was sitting there and I actually watched the credits on Jedi Fallen Order. Mm-hmm. They're longer than normal movie credits, I feel like, for a video game.
Yeah, probably.
But anyway, there was a whole section on the story group, and each person had an individual title and stuff like that too. Yeah. They're not just it says Lucasfilm Story Group, and each person had a different title.
Yeah, I mean the story group is very involved. So I mean, like I said, I think the part that I really do like about this, if I'm going to start with the positives, I really like all of the interactions between Kylo and Rey.
Mm-hmm. That really what makes a film.
Yes, their interaction was really my favorite. My only positive takeaway from the movie. I really liked all of their interactions. I mean, really, the movie for me set me off on the wrong foot right at the beginning, because when she handed Luke the Skywalker and he just tossed his lightsaber, I was like, "What the shit? Like, that's how you're gonna start it?"
Yeah.
I mean, it just frustrated me. And then I liked her interactions with him, although some of the stuff on the island was kind of weird.
What do you mean? What was weird?
Just watching him do his daily routine. It was just weird to me.
It was just kind of letting the audience know what he was doing.
He wasn't doing much of anything. I get it. But, I mean, I really did like all the parts between her and Kylo Ren. I liked how she was showing, you got the backstory from, Luke and Ben. You learned a little bit more, you saw a little bit more about how vulnerable Ben was and how Snoke was manipulating him, and how him and Rey and their interactions. But yeah, with the Resistance, I didn't really like any of that. I didn't like them bringing in Holdo. I absolutely thought it was ridiculous the way they wouldn't just tell Poe what they were doing, or anybody else. I mean, you freaking learn as a child that when you don't tell somebody what the plan is, people do stupid shit. That's parenting 101, being an adult 101. If you don't let people know the plan, then people do stupid stuff because they don't understand what's going on. So, that whole thing where she just... And it wasn't even just him. Everybody else was like, we don't know what's going on. Why would she just not tell them? I mean, why? It doesn't make any sense. Well, because then there wouldn't be this side story thing that was ridiculous. But anyway, and then the whole Canto Bight thing could have completely been taken out. And wouldn't have... I would defend
Canto Bight more than I would defend Poe at this point.
I guess so. Well, it's not Poe. It was Holdo. Poe did exactly what you would expect someone like Poe to do when they're not telling him what's going on, and all he sees is them doing something stupid.
Yeah.
Because from an outsider, that's what it looked like. What they were doing was nothing. It looked like they were doing nothing, which at the time was something stupid. So he did exactly what would be expected in that situation. But why? And the way that, I can't even
okay. God. All right. Calm down. Okay. Let's take a breather. Okay. I'm going to pass the baton to me for a little bit. I'm going to talk for a few minutes while you calm down. Okay. Drink your Baileys. It's okay. It's just a movie. All right. Calm down. Okay. Well, for me, again, it's one thing I knew this was going to be interesting because Last Jedi is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. I mean, it's not the original trilogy, but spoiler alert, it's right below the original trilogy for me.
God, I don't know
is what
how.
It is, because again, the Rey and Kylo stuff is so powerful, and also the stuff with Luke I love a lot. You do have the whole Poe storyline, and I was trying to understand that too today. I was trying to get perspective. It's kind of like, say you're a manager, okay, you're the boss or whatever, and then you have kind of your number two, where your number two's never interacted with, say, one of your best employees, but they give you a little grief, and the last thing you do is demote him, down a position or something like that. Okay, well now you're gone. And now your number two has to take over, and the last thing she knows is that you punished him. Okay? So why would she have faith that he's going to do his job if you, who's someone she trusts, just punished him?
Yeah, except that she didn't tell anyone what she was doing.
The higher-ups knew. That girl, the woman with a pointy nose. I don't know who she is. She knew.
Okay, so maybe she knew, but none of the other people there. Everyone else in that room sitting around punching in all the stuff. The people she trusted,
she knew. That knew.
Whatever. It's so stupid. When you only have like 100 people left in the entire resistance.
There was like 400
fuck
people.
Fuck the hierarchy. Like, there's almost nobody left. These people are scared, and all you're doing is standing there acting like you're not. That's not what leadership does. That is not good leadership, in my opinion.
Okay. And you know what? I think you're totally valid, of course. I mean, just me, that you know me. I try to understand it, the choices, so, you know, I totally understand what you're going with.
P.S. That's not all she knew about Poe.
You should see her face when she says P.S. It's like, ooh, girl, I don't think so.
I'm just saying, it's not like Leia had never mentioned him before. Holdo knew who he was. She knew what he was capable of. She knew that Leia was grooming him. So just because the last thing that Leia did was demote him because she was mad at him, that is a lame excuse for why she treated him. Is it just me?
I mean, granted, I know the characters are very far apart in age. I feel like there was some sexual chemistry going on between the two of them.
Between who?
Poe and Holdo.
No, I don't believe so.
I kind of got that vibe a little bit.
Absolutely not.
I know I'm totally making it up, but maybe it's just because the two of the actors are so good, the way they interacted. And again, they're separated too much by age. I know of the intent, but you know, you see what you see in these things. So,
I guess.
All right, for me, it was so different. It took so many bold choices. It didn't, you know, pander to the fans like The Force Awakens did in some ways. I feel like it was, you know, it was able to be its own story. And I really have, you know, I think a lot of good messages in it. So that's why I enjoy the film, you know. Okay, so let's get into a little more detail here and break it down character-wise. Yes, we are. And we'll start with the main girl, Daisy Ridley Rey. And this one, of course, she comes to Luke hoping that he is going to help her, you know, understand, you know, this thing inside of her that is growing. And also, you know, she's dealing with her relationship with Kylo Ren and what's happening there. You know, before they started doing this film, they were talking about the story of it, and you know, the warning they said was don't ever meet your heroes, you know, the old saying or whatever. And I think, you know, Rey definitely learned that, where she got to the legendary Luke Skywalker and wasn't exactly what she thought he was going to be like. And of course, in this one, she struggles with letting go of, you know, who she, you know, has been waiting for, her parents and who they are, hoping that, you know, her parents coming back or knowing who they are would give her some answers. And again, that just goes in the total message of this movie, which is, it doesn't matter where you've come from.
You have to find yourself.
Find yourself. Anyone can be special.
You create your own destiny.
Exactly. And that's something, you know, people are like, after The Force Awakens, people were saying, well, Rey is so powerful, she's got to be a Skywalker, or she's got to be a Kenobi, or something like that. And in this one, they're explained, no, the reason she's so powerful is because of the Force, because there is great darkness that has risen up in Snoke and Kylo Ren, and to keep the balance, it has to provide equal amount of light. Granted, Rey, again, doesn't know how to tap in to that much power, but she's starting to get there, and it scares her. So, again, seeking out Luke, trying to understand him more. She's got the moves. You know, she defended herself quite well, we learned in the first film, on Jakku.
Yeah, even without the Force.
Yeah, she's been out.
She's a good fighter.
People were like, how can she do that with a lightsaber? I'm like, dude, did you see that scene where she was kicking ass, you know, in The Force Awakens? She's been on her own since, you know, she was a little girl. She knows how to take care of herself. Give her a lightsaber, you know, let her tap into some Force abilities. Yes, she's going to be badass already. That's just how it is. Luke, what did he know? He knew farming.
Yeah,
you know,
didn't know shit.
He didn't know shit, exactly. So that's why, you know, she has that little step ahead above him on this. And I really hope. I don't think JJ's going to backtrack on her parents. I don't think, because, you know, people are like, well, you know, she said it, you know, or Kylo said it, you know. I'm like, no. Watch the movie. She said they're nobody. And then he says, you know, filthy junk traders that sold you off for drinking money. You know, she said it first. It's not, Kylo didn't say it, she said it. So get the movie right, people. As an actress, much as her character was growing, which I thought she did a splendid job with.
I agree.
Okay, how do you feel about Rey in this one?
No, I like Rey in this one. I think she does a good job. And I already said the scenes with her and, Adam Driver, Rey and Kylo Ren are my favorite parts. They're like the parts of this movie that I do, and I really like those parts. But like, unlike you, who can take those parts you really like and say, well, I still really like this movie, I like less than half of the movie, because they're less than half of the film. So I don't see how I can say I like it as a whole if I only like less than half of it. That to me isn't a win. That's a nah. But I do really like all the parts with the two of them. And I like the parts with Kylo Ren and with Luke. Especially the parts when, Luke's on Crate. I think those parts are great. But
you learn what happened to Luke. You learn the story behind, Kylo Ren as well. Which I think, when he's talking about he sensed the darkness in him, he said, Snoke's already gotten to him. And, that's where he had that momentary weakness. Just jumping to Luke, I mean, honestly, I think this is probably the best acting I've seen Mark Hamill do ever. With Luke, it was about, he himself had been built up as this legend in the galaxy. And, he looked at his nephew and saw that dark potential. He did. And he was afraid that it was going to be another Darth Vader manipulated by, some dark side user. And he didn't want all that pain, suffering that Vader caused to happen again. So for a split second, he thought about take him out. And in that split second is what created and made Ben go to the dark side, which sucks, definitely. But
I don't think that's true.
Again,
I think Ben would have gone anyway.
He would have gone. It was a push.
I think he would have gone
anyway. It was a pushover, is what it was.
It may have taken longer to get there, but it would have happened anyway.
Luckily, tomorrow we will start to find out that story, because The Rise of Kylo Ren by Charles Soule comes out tomorrow morning, and I'm reading that first thing before I go to work tomorrow after I find some sherbet ice cream for us.
Right. Not for us, it's for Nora.
But there was a preview too they came out with, was number 2 of The Rise of Kylo Ren, and it's Ben, Luke, surrounded by the Knights of Ren, and next to them is Lord Santeca, a character who we know has a connection to the Skywalker family, but we got one scene with him in The Force Awakens, so we'll get more of him hopefully in this, and his connection with Luke perhaps on that. So there you go. But yes, I love what they did. Luke, again, that's a major criticism a lot of people have, is how they handle Luke, where talking about kind of how the legend of Luke Skywalker in the galaxy is almost the same as the legend of Luke Skywalker in fandom, where he's built up to be this monument of hero, but he's just a guy, he's just a hero, and when he doesn't live up to our expectations, people are, disappointed. He said it himself in the film. He's like, do you think I'm going to, take out my laser sword and take out the entire First Order? That's what people wanted. And I thought that would have been badass. Totally badass to see that, because we never seen full-blown Jedi Master Luke Skywalker in his prime. It would have been great, but going back to Return of the Jedi, that's not who Luke is. That's not what a Jedi is supposed to be. A Jedi is, what's always Yoda talking about? Only for defense. They're
keepers of the peace.
Exactly. They do everything they can to avoid a fight, to avoid bloodshed. That's what Luke did in Return of the Jedi, where he came to his father and tried to plead for the good in him. And, when he realized that he himself was, doing something that could turn him to the dark side, he stopped. He threw down his lightsaber and, no, I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to do this. He was taking the Gandhi method, so to speak. And that's what he did at the end of this film, too, where he was able to not only let the Resistance escape by keeping Kylo Ren distracted, but also, again, creating his legend and letting it grow again, creating that spark of hope in the galaxy once again that he once had, too. So, again, just what they did with Luke in this, I loved it.
I agree. I've told you that. I like the Luke and the Rey and the Kylo Ren stuff.
Okay.
I don't like anything else.
We're getting to that other part here, too. I want to finish this whole group of stuff, the Force stuff, as you would say.
Yeah, I liked all that.
First with all that, okay? All right, so Snoke.
I still don't know. Still don't know enough about him.
We still don't know enough about him, but people were so pissed when he just died suddenly.
Well, it didn't really make any sense. We don't even know who he is yet.
But that doesn't matter. Do we know who the Emperor was at the end of Return of the Jedi?
But it was the end.
I think eventually we're going to get the Snoke story. Eventually. Hell, it took us 16 years to start to get, Palpatine's story. As far as what happened and how he began on the dark side. So I'm in no rush. They want to tell it when they want to tell it. That's fine. But him, I agree. I want to know because he's pretty damn powerful in the Force. You know, the way he tossed Rey around the room and all that stuff,
well, and the
too.
way that he linked Kylo and Rey's minds to the point that they could physically touch each other.
Do you think
that is something powerful, and we don't even know who he is?
Do you think they're still going to be linked in Rise of Skywalker?
I don't know. I don't like to speculate. You know that.
Well, I'm just saying, because, like, you know, the way I talk to people, like, because people were talking about how at the end of the movie, you know, she was getting on the Falcon, he was at the base, and they still saw each other. And they're like, well, Snoke's dead. How can they still be connected? And I tell people, I'm like, look, you take your two hands and you tie a knot together, but then you cut off both your hands, the knot's still tied. You know,
could be.
Is the way I see it. So,
yeah, could be.
You know, whether that is still there or not, you know, we'll wait and see how that goes. Hopefully it's not, you know, something else that JJ rectifies.
Yeah. I just think it was an unusual choice to kill him in this film when you just introduced him in the last film and you don't tell us anything about him, but as far as we know, he's the one basically running the First Order, and then all of a sudden he's gone. Like, it's not even the end of the story yet. It was just weird.
Much like Palpatine in Return of the Jedi, he wasn't the focus. He was a supporting character just to play his role for Kylo Ren and Rey. Mainly Kylo Ren. You know, the whole point of him being there, especially in this movie, was for Kylo to kill him. To take, you know, to ascend the throne. To give us that moment where after, you know, they've taken out the Praetorian Guards and Snoke, and Rey's like, yes, I've gotten through the bend. Let's, you know, go save the Resistance. And Ben's like, no, I don't want to. I want to take power. I want more power. I'm going to be the supreme leader now, and I want you to join me. And with that, do you think Kylo or Ben's feelings for Rey are genuine, or is he just trying to manipulate her to get him to join him?
Oh, no, I think he just wants her power.
So, you know, you don't think at any point he felt like he had a true connection with her and, you know, that maybe she would have gotten to him?
I think he does have a connection with her, but I think it's because she is the powerful light that is the complement to his powerful dark. I think that he does feel that, and he realizes there's that connection. But I don't think that he, like, cares about her or anything. I think he just wants her...
Use her.
Yeah, he just wants her to come to his side for the power. Because then the dark will be even more powerful. Although all that's going to do is make someone else come back from the light.
Allegedly, yeah. The way they
whatever. Yeah,
balance.
I mean, I don't think he cares about her at all.
Okay. Just using okay.
I don't think he cares about anyone except his mama, maybe, because he didn't
kill her. All right. So speaking of Princess Leia Organa Solo Skywalker, I'm not sure how many names she actually has, but yes, this is the one. It was I think it was right before or right after Rogue One came out, is when you got the news of Carrie Fisher. Now everyone has said too, when it comes to the original trilogy characters, Han's main big one was Force Awakens. Luke's big one was going to be The Last Jedi, and Leia's big one was going to be The Rise of Skywalker, or Episode 9.
Obviously, they'll have to.
But it didn't happen. They had to go through. They had to rewrite some stuff, and you know that a lot of it fell on JJ and you know maybe Colin Trevorrow, which may be part of the way why he didn't do the film, because he couldn't figure out the puzzle maybe. But you know it definitely threw a wrench in the entire plans for this trilogy. To see exactly what happens, but they're going to use old footage. I bet they'll use some other tricks.
I think she's just not going to be in it much.
I don't know. I give her maybe 5 minutes tops.
I don't think even
I think
that
it's
much.
what it is.
Yeah, I don't think even that
if they're
much.
using just deleted footage of stuff, I think that's maybe tops what you see on that. But in this one, she's in it. They said they did not alter anything with her as far as her storyline, and I think it shows from what we saw her do. Mainly because I think if they would have, altered the story to say, hey, let's have her go out. I mean, you put her in that chair instead of Holdo is what you do. I mean, that is a great send off.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have done that because they didn't know she was going to die.
Exactly,
so,
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Again, that just proves they didn't alter Last Jedi after her death, because otherwise, you put her in that chair is what.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think she's going to have very little screen time. I think that's part of why the what's it called? Rebel Rising? No, Rebel Resistance.
Resistance Reborn.
Resistance Reborn. I think that's one of the main reasons that they gave us that book for the fans, is to show you that Poe is taking over.
That's true.
I mean, I think that was the main purpose of that book, is to show you Poe getting over the fact that he felt bad about what happened in The Last Jedi and what he did, and him becoming the leader of the Resistance. That's what happens in that book. I think that book was prepping us for Leia's not in charge anymore,
Poe
because
is.
she's on her deathbed.
Yeah.
And they mention how sick she is.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're going to come into this movie and she's going to basically have a tiny bit of screen time and then die.
I mean, I think it kind of ties in too. They could easily tie that into what happened to Luke, because they set up, much like how in The Force Awakens, you're setting up Chewie's bowcaster as this, really powerful weapon to where it hits Kylo Ren, who we know is a powerful Force user. It slows him down quite a bit, which is why Rey's able to take him out at the end, setting that up. In this one, when Rey and Kylo first see each other, Kylo says, "You couldn't be doing this. The strain alone would kill you." And he's talking about just seeing one person. Luke projected himself across the galaxy so everyone saw him, and the strain of that killed him. It's pretty much what happened.
What's that to do with Leia? I'm confused.
Leia got shot into space and it should have died, but instead she used whatever Force abilities she had to save herself and fly back in. Again, a strain on her physical body, which is taking its toll, which eventually will lead to her death.
That was a really long-winded way to say
I'm just
that.
showing examples of how the Force took its toll and stuff like that. On that, I did love the part 2 in this where Leia is unconscious, she's sleeping, and Luke, who reactivates himself to the Force, contacts her. Much very reminiscent of Empire Strikes Back when he calls to her in the Falcon. Which I gotta say, the older I get and the more Star Wars I watch, that Empire Strikes Back scene where Luke calls to her is getting more and more powerful. I really love it a lot too, and you saw the echo of that. There are a lot of echoes, of course, in this film, callbacks to other Star Wars, which is why I'm not sure why you say Rian Johnson doesn't know Star Wars. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, so
I've given lots of examples.
I think we've cut back on got all the Force stuff. So let's dive into the stuff that even I don't like that much, to be honest. I don't like it, but I understand it. So let's start with the stuff I understand more, which is Finn's journey. Finn, he in the first one, The Force Awakens, we saw him, as a stormtrooper who just wanted to run away. Right. He just wanted, to get away because he knew the First Order was powerful and you just get away from it. It's really what he wanted. In this one, he finds
his purpose.
He finds in the first one he found Rey, a friend, a true friend. So in the beginning he gets out and he just wants to save her, but then he gets put on this mission, meets up with Rose, and then of course you have DJ. And again, they don't accomplish anything. I'll go ahead and say it. They do not accomplish a damn thing.
That side trip did not accomplish.
If anything, it made things worse. It made things much worse. Yes. Not only did Poe mess up because he was counting on him, but also DJ told them the plans, and that's why half of the Resistance got destroyed in those little escape pods.
Yeah,
is what it was. But given the fact that Finn is, say, our second hero of this trilogy, I always say it wasn't about the journey physically he took. It was the inward journey to choose the Resistance, and alone he had Rose and DJ, the angel on one side and the devil on the other, and he had to make a choice, and he chose the good side. He chose the Resistance. That's what that whole thing was about in this film.
It was unnecessary.
They
could have accomplished it in a much shorter period of time with something that actually accomplished something for the story.
Well, you gotta wait. He's got to realize it at the end of the film, though. So he had to have the journey through the film.
Whatever.
But Canto Bight was stupid. I'll give it Canto Bight.
Maybe they just have too many characters. Because when I look back to the original trilogy, Han gets his story arcs, Leia gets her story arcs, Luke gets her story arcs, but they're all combined. So it doesn't have to be 3 freaking separate stories in one movie. That's what I don't like about this. It's so disjointed. You have Poe's story going on here, Rey's story going on here, this weird side story of Finn's going on here.
Totally
and
disagree.
They're not connected.
Totally disagree. The Jedi story with Luke has always been separate from the rest of it.
Yeah, but it just comes off in little pieces and then it meets back up.
They met back up at the end.
Yeah, but this was a long side story.
Luke left at the beginning of Empire and comes back at Cloud City.
I guess.
Okay, so I understand.
I want to go back in time. That whole Fathier race. It was ridiculous.
You had to set up Canto Bight.
It was so long.
Which I didn't like Canto Bight. The actual visit of Canto Bight, I did not like.
I just am not a huge fan of Rose's character either.
Yeah, and Rose, I think she's a good character. How they used her.
No, I don't even think she was. I think her character was kind of. It was a weird choice. I don't know. I don't mean her as an actress. I thought she did fine. I just thought her character was weird. I mean, I mentioned before.
I think they could have used her better.
Yeah, I don't think she was used very well. And then, like, I don't understand. Well, number one, I've told you before, I think her hair looked ridiculous, but that's a whole separate
She's
thing.
a mechanic. She doesn't see the day of light.
Stop with the justification for her ridiculous hairdo. Her hairdo has nothing to do with her being a mechanic. It was obviously styled in this. No one's hair does that naturally, Sean.
Oh, to be fair, though, there are so many times I could tell Ray was wearing makeup.
Oh, so yeah, she's always wearing makeup. I'm just saying, I thought, you ask any girl who watches this movie if Rose's hair looks even remotely natural or what a mechanic's hair would look like. No.
There's your poll. There we go.
You put
that's
that
gonna be
there.
tomorrow's poll.
I want girls' input because obviously guys think that's what female mechanics' hair look like. Anyway.
It was up in a bow, right?
No, it's this weird side.
No, wasn't she had the little things in the front and then it was all up in the bow, the rest of it.
Okay, it's called a ponytail.
Whatever.
And all the little side swooshes are the part that are annoying. Most people would just have it up in a messy bun if you were a real mechanic. Anyway, that's a super side story. But, no, I mean, I just thought it was weird, like, how quickly she decides to help Finn. And then how after this weird side story on Canto Bight where they don't really seem to get along all that well, then all of a sudden she's, like, in love with him? Like, what the heck?
No, that totally grows throughout the story.
I don't think
I mean,
so.
the whole thing, especially on the ship, where he tries to get the medallion back from DJ after, she gives it to him.
I just don't see it developing. I was caught off guard by it.
Which is why, spoiler alert, a little bit for you guys, of course, in Resistance Reborn, we come to find out they're not a couple.
Because I think they realized afterward it was kind of a weird move. There was no reason for her to kiss him in that scene.
I think if they would have taken away the kiss...
Yeah, it would have been fine.
It would have been fine, yeah.
Because obviously they became friends in that journey. I just think they obviously didn't become romantic in that journey. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was kind of weird.
I agree. Take away the kiss, and it would have been fine.
Much better. I very much don't like that Canto Bight side story. I thought it was a waste of time. Maybe it was just because I thought it went on for too long. Like maybe they could have accomplished it faster. Like there was just too much. Like they were trying too hard to make it visually all that extra stuff. I think they could have accomplished that in less time.
Well, time-wise, too, this whole thing is just totally weird as far as the timing of this film. I mean, you can't tell me that the chase down of the Resistance, which is supposed to be
like what, 8 hours or something?
Like with it
6 or 8 hours.
I think it's like somewhere around that time. And then in that time,
they got all the way to Canto Bight
and back, and then also Rey and Luke.
Yeah,
which I guess you could say maybe that'll take place in a different, separate kind of story.
Well, I think Rey was there longer.
Yeah, Rey. That's what I'm saying.
She had already been there.
Yeah, she'd already been there. I think, and then I think with that, editing, because I thought about this after I've watched the film a couple times. If you edit it differently, you can get the feeling more that Rey was there longer than, say, the Resistance was being chased down.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Rey was there for several days. Because if you look at where Force Awakens leaves off and where this movie starts, she didn't leave until...
That's what I'm saying. Like, from the time... It depends on how long it took the First Order to get to him.
Right, I don't think it was weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a couple days,
That's what I'm saying. So she couldn't possibly have been gone for more than a couple days.
Yeah, it's like I said, the time is all messed up. So I'm not agreeing with that as far as the way that goes. But just finishing off Finn's storyline, DJ, Benicio del Toro.
If he just didn't stutter.
I was about to say that.
God, the stutter was so stupid.
If he did not stutter... He would have been fine.
Yeah, it would have been fine.
He would have been perfectly fine if it wasn't for the stutter.
The stutter was so stupid.
I don't know. They're trying to give him a little more personality. Whose idea was the stutter? That's what I want to know. Whose idea was...
I read something that it was his idea.
Yeah. Of course he is. He's one of those artist types that would have an idea like that.
I thought the stutter was so stupid.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So before we do that, I want to get to this too. Talking about ideas of what they want to happen. Okay. So in The Force Awakens, JJ was wrapping everything up, filming, and... Rian Johnson was writing The Last Jedi. So Rian Johnson talked to J.J. Abrams and like, hey, can you do this for me? Can you put R2 on the journey to go find Luke? Because I have a scene I'm writing where I need R2 for, which is the Millennium Falcon scene where he plays the original Leia video, which, changes Luke's mind a little bit, is what it is. Like, I need R2 for that. And that's something that J.J. Abrams did in order, to help out the next film Rian Johnson was writing. Well, I think it was a couple weeks ago or something like that, Colin Trevorrow, who was originally supposed to do Episode 9, has started to open up a little bit about it now. And one of the things he said, that scene that everyone criticizes, hi, I'm Poe. I'm Rey. I know. Colin Trevorrow asked Rian Johnson to put that in there.
Oh, good Lord.
That was Colin Trevorrow when the script that he was writing... he asked him to put it in there, which is why that was in there. And then after the film came out, that's when, Colin Farrell left, his script got thrown out, and JJ totally rewrote everything. So
now you have this weird sexual tension between them that doesn't mean
that
anything.
Probably won't go anywhere. Kind of like the Finn and Rose thing.
Kiss, yeah.
It's in there, but now it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter.
Exactly. So I'm just saying, people who are criticizing Rian Johnson about it, it wasn't his idea.
Right.
Okay, Poe. Yes,
I love Poe.
I love Poe, but I'm on board with you on this one. Okay, and I know you were very harsh on Holdo. But it's been said, they talked about it. Yes, in Leia, Princess of Alderaan, the original, telling of the character, she was very much like a Luna Lovegood Harry Potter type.
Yes.
And they said they tried that when they first started filming, but it didn't work.
That's my point then. Just why did they have to make it her?
Make her someone else.
Make her someone else.
Because they wanted to give her that connection with Leia, I think. They wanted to give that trust.
Any number of other people and just made people... Nobody knew... Unless you read the books, which is not a very large number of people, you don't know that she had a connection to Holdo. You didn't know that. You could have taken anybody else. You could have let Akbar survive or something.
R.I.P. Admiral Akbar.
Whatever. I'm just saying, if you were going to take that character and change her so drastically from the character they well established in the freaking book that was supposed to lead up to this movie, why didn't you just make it somebody else? This is my biggest thing when they do the movies, when there's all these great characters in the books, and it's like, why have some, like I've talked about before, Sloane, how I like Sloane so much. She pops up in lots of the books.
Yeah.
There are so many times when they needed an admiral for the Empire, or for the First Order, or something. Why not make it her?
Yeah.
It would be a nod to the fans. But instead, they bring a character from the books and they fucking change her all over the place and then be like, well, if we made her like she was in the books, it wouldn't have fit in the story. Then why did you bring her from the books? That's what I'm saying. It's just like shitting in the face of all the real fans, the ones who read the books. I just don't get it. Okay. That's why it frustrates me so much. It's like, why do all this and try to say it's a connected universe if you're going to take this character who the primary thing about her was the fact that she was kind of loopy. She was very Luna Lovegood-esque. And then you're going to take her and just give her this purple hair and think that makes her weird? That doesn't work.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, we talked about, when this film first came out, we talked about all that, I totally agree with that. I mean, and that's the thing. That is the part of it going bad. But then you look at Saw Gerrera, and that's the good part. The part where it's like, hey, we need this guy for Force Awakens, and the story group's like, oh, you need this type of character. We have that type of character. Let's put him in there. And then from there, they put him in Rebels. They put him in Jedi Fallen Order. Again, Holdo is the bad side of looking at it when connecting the books and the expanded universe to the movies, where Saw Gerrera is the good side. So you have a good example and a bad example.
There's a lot, yeah.
There's a lot more bad examples. I'll give you that.
They just don't pull. I don't think they pull from the books often enough. And then when they do, they do it badly most of the time.
It's much like, I've talked about this too. When it comes to, say, the MCU films and the television series like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., okay? The films are the main thing, okay? The films, they don't have to listen to anybody. They're the films. They're the moneymaker. They're the ones that matter. So if they contradict canon, fuck them, whatever. And I think it's totally wrong. I hate it. And the story group are a type of people that should be like, hey, J.J. Abrams, I know you're a powerful man in Hollywood, but that contradicts this book this guy wrote 5 years ago, so you can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, they could have even still made it Laura Dern. They could have given her the same outfit, the same hair. They could have done everything exactly like they did, but called her something else, and it would have been better.
And the only people that would have, again, I say they did that to try to give her that connection to Leia, but again, the only people that knew that were the ones who read the book.
95% of the people who saw this movie had no idea that she had a history with Holdo. So it didn't even matter. Like, why? I can't.
Oh, so while you're on a tangent a little bit, there's a little character called Captain Phasma in all this, who met her demise, allegedly, in this. And again, it's one of those things where in the expanding universe, they set her up as this total badass character. In the promotionals for The Force Awakens. You know, she was the big shiny stormtrooper.
Yeah. In the journey to the freaking Last Jedi is when we got the Phasma book.
And the comic book, too.
And
the comic, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, you know, she did nothing again. She is this trilogy's... She
fought with Finn.
She is this trilogy's Boba Fett.
Yeah.
She looks cool. She sounds cool. She's supposed to be badass. And she just dies like a little bitch. Now, again, you got to give her credit because we were talking about this, I know, before the film came out, having read the junior novel with the history of Finn. You know, Finn was Phasma's best student. So, you know, Phasma's a great fighter. Yes, she's going to kick his ass, which she did do.
Oh, yeah, she did.
The only thing...
He didn't kill her. Like, no. The ship falling apart
the ship falling apart killed her. Again, it's just that...
she won.
She won the fight. It was just that Finn, he fell in the right place at the right time and then got that one hit. Mm-hmm. It's what it was. And that's all it was. So you really can't say it's a contradiction against the books.
No, it's not.
But...
It was just a misuse of her character.
Exactly. They
could have done so much more with her.
Exactly.
And they should have done so much more with her.
Exactly. So there's that. All right. Let's talk about a little couple. I think all we have left is really kind of the minor stuff. Maz Kanata had a brief appearance. She's supposed to have a brief appearance in The Rise of Skywalker. Honestly, the way she was used in this, I'm not looking forward to it.
It was unnecessary again.
Not looking forward to it at all with that one. Yoda, though, I love that Yoda scene.
Yeah.
I love that Yoda scene.
I love how he like giggles and cackles.
Oh yeah, because it's like, young Skywalker, missed you I have. And when he says that, they're like, oh, it's been 30 years or whatever since Return of the Jedi. What's going on? Remember, Luke cut himself off from the Force, which means he probably couldn't communicate with Yoda. He couldn't communicate with Kenobi. Force Ghost. I'm just take a brief sidetrack here. What Force Ghost we get in Rise of Skywalker?
Have I not just said I don't like?
But come on, humor me, because you know.
It's the last one. I think they're gonna have to give.
We're gonna get
several.
Luke. We know we're gonna get Luke. I wouldn't imagine we get. I bet we could get Yoda again. But if you're bringing back Obi-Wan, it's gonna be Ewan McGregor.
I think we're not getting any. I think there's gonna be no Force Ghost.
Luke's in this though. I think we're at least getting Luke.
Okay, fine. Maybe Luke.
I am 99% sure we're getting Luke.
Okay, fine. Maybe Luke.
Unless John Campia's crazy theory that he's still alive is true, which I think would be total bullshit.
Well, I think we're probably not going to get any. If I'm going to speculate,
Are you going to agree we're going to get Luke, though, at least?
Yeah, sure. I think probably
But
Luke.
no other ones?
Yeah, no.
But how cool would it be to get Ewan McGregor?
It would be cool. I don't think it's going to happen.
No. It'd be cool, though. Okay, fair enough. Anyway, yes, Yoda scene, I loved it because, again, it's teaching those life lessons, and I really love, again, Yoda, he's got the best quote, especially that last line. I love that last line where he talks about, we are what they grow beyond, for that is the true burden of teachers, I think is what it was.
I don't know.
But really, like, for me, I mean, it's just, I saw it from a parent's perspective, We want our kids to have a better life than what we did. We want them to be better than what we are. And, they are what we grow beyond. That is, it's a great line, And you're talking about teaching them our failures, Yes, teaching them about, what they need to know, but also, teaching them what we did wrong so they don't do the same thing as well, too. Again, I think from a parent's perspective, it spoke to me in that instance too. So, okay, so I think we've covered.
Okay, the one other thing I wanted to say was about Domhnall Gleeson. So General.
Oh my God, we totally missed out on Hux. Yes, okay.
So General Hux. So I don't love General Hux, like I mentioned. From what I know of him, especially from the books, he's kind of just like a spoiled child. But at this point in the First Order, basically Snoke is the top of the pyramid. And just under the pyramid are Kylo Ren and Hux.
The bickering sons, I would call them almost,
right. So I really feel like the way that this film treats Hux, for the First Order being so powerful and taking over the galaxy, they really portray him like a stupid moron.
I agree with that.
And I don't like it, because even with the Empire, they made the people who were in charge of the Empire... You could tell they were smart and powerful, like Tarkin, people like that. But they make Hux look like a clown.
With his position, it feels like he's supposed to be in that Tarkin position.
Exactly.
Because you had the Emperor and Vader, which is like Snoke and Kylo Ren, and then then you had Hux, which is kind of like Tarkin.
Right, but they certainly make Hux look like a moron in this movie.
Which, by the way, in the latest episode of Star Wars, I caught up on Star Wars Resistance. In the latest one, you get Hux. and he sounds so much like Domhnall Gleeson. I thought it was him, but it was another voice
Really?
actor too.
Well, yeah, it just kind of makes me sad how they treat Domhnall Gleeson's character in this, because I really think, like I said, I don't like Hux, but he's supposed to be the leader of the freaking First Order. Like, the leader of the First Order wouldn't have his subordinates standing nearby, basically laughing at him.
As he gets thrown around by Kylo Ren.
When he gets thrown around by Snoke,
yeah.
and when Poe is making him seem like a moron. I mean, I thought that scene was funny, but it was, I mean,
oh yeah,
for real, for Hux to fall for that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, he was all comic relief, which
yeah, and they were just
the
trying to get a
character
laugh.
should have been more.
And it wasn't appropriate.
And
I didn't think.
Again, I think, they've always had that bickering between Kylo Ren and Hux. And, of course, the scene where he was about to shoot Kylo Ren because he knows, Kylo Ren's more powerful. Yeah. He's got the Force.
But that scene was really good, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Hux behaved the way somebody would when he just got force choked.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the other scenes with Hux that I feel like they just make him look like a moron.
And especially, of course, the part where they're in they're on Crate, they're in the fighter or whatever, and he tells him not to go down to see Luke. He throws him out, and I'm like, a guy like Hux, he's one of those guys where he's waiting for his moment.
Oh yeah, he is.
He's waiting for his moment to get at Kylo Ren, and I think I'm hoping he gets that moment. I'm not thinking he's gonna succeed, but I want him to at least take that moment and have a little bit more self-respect for himself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't like the way that, because even like if you look back at the original trilogy with Tarkin and Vader, and we've gotten a lot more of their relationship from the books, but even though that they really had kind of a love-hate relationship, they never made it. It was never public.
There was such a mutual respect though there, I think.
Exactly,
too.
And the things that they did disagree on, it was never public. They didn't squabble like these two do. And I think that the way Hux and Kylo Ren bicker together, and the way that they are they have their outward animosity to each other, even in front of everybody else.
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous. And even, like, number one, that scene at the beginning for comic relief, which I thought treated Hux very unfairly. And then, in addition, like that scene you were just talking about when they were when they were on Crate.
Yeah.
But not when Kylo Ren throws him, but even before that, like when Kylo Ren says to do something and then Hux says it again, and the look that he gives him, like even that,
it's just comic relief, is all it is, and it undermines what the character should be.
Exactly. You don't get to be that position in the First Order if you're not good at what you do.
I will say, I was talking about, him waiting for his moment. It's that last shot of him in The Last Jedi where, they walk into the base, Kylo Ren goes in and picks up the imaginary dice, and Hux comes behind him and just stares at him with a glare. And it's that look where, like, hey, your personal feelings, if you weren't so, conflicted or hated about Skywalker, we would have gotten the Resistance. Instead, you had to stop and, make a fool of yourself and let them get away. And the disdain in him, where he's like, he's plotting something, or at least he should be. Okay, well, I think we've covered that pretty well. So let's get down to the business. Ranking Star Wars films. Do you want to do it one by one?
I don't care.
Okay, so let's go with your number 10. What's your number 10?
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace is my number 10, but to be fair, I almost put Attack of the Clones. I switched it midday today,
Attack of the Clones,
and I came back for Phantom Menace, of course.
Yeah, 9 and 10 for me are Attack of the Clones.
And that's what it is for me, 9 and 10. And what it was about Attack of the Clones that stopped me from putting it at the very bottom was that Anakin scene that I love so much after he killed the Tusken Raiders. That's one of my favorite Star Wars scenes. I
like the whole fight scene at the end when they are being like, when they fight those three animals, like when the three. I like that scene. Yeah. When the Jedi come, when the Clone War starts.
And the whole Obi-Wan joke. I mean,
I don't hate Attack of the Clones.
No,
I just
and they're again.
I dislike all the the Anakin Padme stuff. Like I said, he's such a creeper.
And I remember there was one of my friends who was everyone's rewatching the Star Wars movies online this week, and one of my guys posted on Facebook that he was watching the Phantom Menace and he actually likes the movie. And I'm like, look, if you just take out the part from they arrive on Tatooine to when they leave Tatooine, and then watch the rest of it, I think it's a pretty good movie. It's all the Tatooine stuff that I'm not a big fan of. With that. So, okay. So then number 8.
Wait. You dislike that one because of one chunk of it, but it's not fair for me to dislike The Last Jedi because I dislike one big chunk of it?
No. I'm talking about the whole part of it. I'm not talking about parts of it.
Yeah, I'm talking about half the film of Last Jedi. I'm
talking about a half hour.
Whatever.
I'm talking about the entire half-hour thing. I'm not talking about because they're interwoven within each other in The Last Jedi, is what it is.
It doesn't matter.
She's giving me a look. Anyway, move on. Number 8. What do you got?
Last Jedi.
You're gonna hate me for this one. Rogue One.
Oh, Rogue One.
So I know you love Rogue One
One
so much, and again, I've said this before. Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace are the ones that the only two that I really don't like. Like, if I'm going to watch a Star Wars movie, it could be any out of 8 films, but it's never going to be those bottom 2. And I like Rogue One, I just like the other ones more.
Not me.
So, okay. Number 7.
Solo.
I got Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, I have that one higher.
Okay, really? Okay. Again, it's one of those things where I flip-flopped Rogue One and Revenge of the Sith. I couldn't quite figure it out, but I like the sense of adventure. I like, the lightsaber battles at the end.
I like
the Jedi stuff, all that stuff
Revenge
too.
of the Sith.
Okay, so
but I like Solo. I just don't. It's not.
Yeah, it's a fun film.
Yeah, I like Solo.
So funny. It's one of those just space adventures. You can just sit down and just have a good time with it, which is what I liked about it. Okay, what's next? That was number 7.
That was number 7.
7. So what's number 6 for you?
For number 6 for me was The Force Awakens.
I have number 6, The Force Awakens as well. Yay! Cool.
Right in the middle.
Okay, number 5.
Number 5 for me is Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
So basically,
We
5,
switched-
6, and 7 we have the same 3, just in a different order.
We all switched them around.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 5, 6, and 7 for all 3 for both of us.
Okay.
Was Revenge of the Sith, Solo, Last Jedi. Just
number 5 again.
Oh, Force Awakens, Revenge of the Sith, and Solo. Yeah.
Exactly. We just had them in different order.
Just
So
in
there you go.
different
All right, number 4.
New Hope.
New Hope. I had The Last Jedi. So, okay, that's right. I forgot you have Rogue One higher up than I do.
I do.
Okay, and then number 3 is it's the original sequel for me, just in a weird order. But number 3 for you?
For me, Empire's number 3.
Oh, number 3. Come on, at least give me number 2, girl.
2, I have Rogue One.
2 is Rogue One, and then your number 1 is Return of the Jedi. Of course. So me, it goes Return of the Jedi, number 3. Number 2, A New Hope. Number 1, Empire Strikes Back.
I've always loved Return of the Jedi. It's always been one
I
of
know
my
it's always your favorite, and that's the thing too. Is not a lot of people. I don't think, at least all right. I think if you actually went and saw the original film, A New Hope, in theaters, I think you could say maybe it's their favorite, but really with a lot of people, it's either Empire or Jedi.
Yeah.
Granted, a lot of more Empire, but if it's not Empire, it's usually Return of the Jedi.
I think for me, Return of the Jedi just is the most nostalgia for me. That was the one as a kid that I got the most. I enjoyed watching it most.
Yeah, and for me, again, Empire Strikes Back. It's my watching that movie so many times on sick days and every time I could. It's the nostalgia factor of it all.
Yeah,
so.
but I have Rogue One number 2 because I really love Rogue One.
I know you do.
Especially when you combine it with Catalyst or Rebel Rising. Like, I just think it's such an amazing story.
And to me, that's one of the things too with Revenge of the Sith, where add the layers of the Clone Wars animated series and the books and everything else, and it starts to layer itself, much like a lot of the films do, like Rogue One, like even Attack of the Clones and the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
You see the books feeding into it, which makes you enjoy it more, to where, again, someone who just watches the movies, they can say, oh, the Phantom Menace was a piece of crap. And I'm like, yeah, but read this and tell me your different perspective on this character now,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I think Revenge of the Sith is higher on my list than it used to be, and I think it's because of watching the Clone Wars.
Yeah, exactly. I think the Clone Wars, in a lot of ways, for me, again, it helps me like the prequels better.
I mean, I still hate what they do with Padme, but
Yeah.
that's like one little tiny piece that I...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, there you go. Guys, that is it. We're done. It's all done, and now we are ready for the Rise of Skywalker. We, of course, will be doing a review of it. Sunday, I'm off work, so we'll get that recorded and out probably on Sunday. But
Sunday we have that Christmas party.
that's Christmas party's not till later. Okay, we got a whole day to do this. She's already out the door, guys. But that's it, guys. Go out, see the Rise of Skywalker. Please share your thoughts, but please don't share spoilers. Please don't. Not until, there a couple weeks. I usually say about 2 weeks is good for spoilers. If you haven't seen it within that time frame with a movie like this, if you haven't seen it in 2 weeks, you don't care about spoilers, is my own opinion. But that's it. You can contact me personally, Slim Dayspring 12 on Instagram and Twitter. Of course, fire back on the social media groups, Gmail account, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Give us your Star Wars list. If you read the books, give me some of your favorite books. If you read the comics, give me some of those. And, of course, give me your list of Star Wars movies. I really want to know where they all fall for you. So, remember, tomorrow, Mandalorian, well, if you're listening to this, it's Wednesday. Today, a new episode of Mandalorian came out. They're not doing it on Friday. They're doing it Wednesday this week because of the release of Rise of Skywalker. They don't want you to stay home on Friday. They want you to go out and watch Rise of Skywalker. So watch Mandalorian today if you're listening to me on Wednesday, and then you'll be all set for Rise of Skywalker on Thursday and Friday. But I'm rambling now, so I'm going to shut up. All I can say, guys, is may the Force be with you all.